So each week we have a big idea, but this Unit 5 also has a huge idea, and it's called Let's Make a Difference. So listen to it as we read it.
Unit 5, Let's Make a Difference. The big idea. How can people make a difference? Quotation. The world is like a great big puzzle, and our job in life is to figure out where our piece fits. Mine just happens to fit with clean water. Ryan Hurljack, Ryan's Well Foundation.
Okay, so what is our big idea for this unit? Who can find it? Lewis? Lewis, what's our big idea for this whole unit? How can people make a difference? So for the next 5 weeks, for Unit 5, Unit 5 will be 5 weeks. We will be learning how people can make a difference for the better. So how can you guys, or adults, or citizens, we're citizens, how can we make a difference? Okay, I would like you now to flip to the next page we did on Monday, yesterday, the good citizens. And then we just did the vocabulary words today. So now we're going to go to a difficult decision. Okay, so find that on page 334. Now, find that and then put your eyes up here because Mrs. Murphy is going to flip forward a little bit. And I'm going to talk about the type of story this is. So look up here. So, the genre or the literature. This is a realistic fiction. So listen to why it's going to be a realistic fiction.
Realistic fiction. A difficult decision is realistic fiction. Realistic fiction has characters that talk and act like real people. Has a setting that could be a real place. Can be told in the first person.
All right, so how do we know the story that we're going to read is realistic fiction? There's 3 things they told us. What was one of them, John?
They act like real people.
Yeah, the characters are going to talk and act like real people. Good job, John. Who knows the second one, right, Lynn?
Is a setting that could be a real place?
Yep, has a setting that could be a real place. So it's not going to be like a setting, for example, that wouldn't be real would be where? What do you think? Where would be a setting that would be
Some
real?
unreal place.
That'd be hard to come up with something, right? Like maybe in a made-up land, right?
Yeah.
Like in Neverland, like in Peter Pan and Neverland. That would be, that could not really happen probably, right? Have you ever heard of Peter Pan
No.
and the setting Neverland?
I have.
You've heard of that? So in the story Peter Pan, there's a setting where they go to Neverland. And Neverland is just a made-up land. So that would be a setting that's made up. Okay? All right, what else? Lewis?
Can be told in the first person.
First person. So if we see the word I, that is first person. So I think we're going to see that in this story. Okay, Mrs. Murphy is going to go back to the same page we were on. And we're going to read a difficult decision. Our inquiry question is, how can we overcome a challenge? So in life, we're going to have challenges. How is this boy going to overcome a challenge? Abby. Did you have a question that you want to read? Did you have a question?
No.
Okay, Addie, do you want to start reading? Okay, Addie, can you pull down your mask and use your big teacher voice, okay? Start with my best friend, Paul.
My best friend Paul and I.
Oh, Addie, stop for a minute. Can I have everybody tracking with Addie so that you can become better readers? Because next year in 3rd grade, you will be reading these all by yourself. And next unit, I will be having you read these by yourself to practice. Unit 6, but Unit 5, I want you tracking. The reason why I want you tracking is so you become a better reader. So that you can see the words, you can sound them out. Okay? So everybody be following along, please. Go ahead, Addie. You just did them.
My best friend Paul and I were excited to go to the park after school. The park had a new fort. The park's department let the kids choose what kind of equipment to build, and the fort got the most votes. After school, Mom and I met Paul and his dad at the park.
Good. So we probably have this boy. I think this is our main character. We don't know his name because they use I. Who do you think this might be? Braylon?
Paul.
Paul. I'm thinking so. They could be flipped around. We don't know yet.
But
Okay.
that just wouldn't make sense.
It makes sense. So they had a vote for the park to choose a new kind of equipment. And what kind won? What won, Briley? Do you know what won? Elias, help her. The fort. So they're gonna have a fort at the park. Okay, let's go on to the next paragraph. Libby, would you read it really loud? Start with Paul and I raced.
Paul and I raced to the top of the tower. I win.
Oh, yeah, good job.
I am the champion. I shouted, "Look, Paul, someone left the newest game master. There it is. Mine now, Paul."
Okay, stop there. So they raced the top. Who won?
Game master.
No, who won the race?
I.
I. We don't know who I is. We don't know this boy's name. He's telling the story. He won. So this is I, the main character. This is Paul. Now, what did they find up here at the top? Mason, what did they find up here?
Nintendo.
Yeah, it's like it looks like a Nintendo, or they call it a Game Master. That's
Game
the
Master is
name.
I think, isn't it like an older version?
I think so.
Yeah,
So they
Older
found
version
this.
of Nintendo.
And then he says it's mine now. So what do you think is wrong with that, Addie?
He's stealing because it's actually not his.
Right? He's kind of stealing it because it's really not his. He found it. Somebody left it there, accidentally maybe. Probably not on purpose, but accidentally. So if somebody leaves something accidentally, it's just not yours. You need to try to find the owner, right? Okay, let's go to the next paragraph. You want to read, Louis? Nice, big teacher voice, and pull on your mask bud, okay?
Paul raped his eyeball,
Close. Eyebrows.
eyebrows and looked thoughtful. Wyatt, you I found Wyatt.
Keep going.
Can't keep that game master. He said you have a responsibility to return it. It's your
Duty. So duty is your job. So it's your duty, okay? Now, we just figured out his name. What is this boy's name?
Wyatt.
Wyatt. Yep.
like our class.
Like our classmate that's gone today, Wyatt. So, this is Wyatt.
And Caden's gone too.
But Paul said something very thoughtful and kind. What did Paul say? Ellie?
He said don't take it.
Don't take it. You have a responsibility to return it. It is your duty, your job to return it. Okay, let's go on to last paragraph. Let's have Ingrid, would you start with I asked?
I asked, haven't you ever heard the saying,
Oh, finders,
finders, keepers,
losers,
sleepers,
weepers.
I have claiming it, right? I found it I found it, so I am
No.
claiming.
Okay, have you guys heard that saying, finders, keepers, losers, leavers?
Yes.
I just heard of the finders keepers, not
So-
losers. No, yeah, I just heard of
I've heard losers.
Yeah, but
I've heard it all.
So, that is a saying, but it's not a very nice saying, because if you find something, you need to return it. Because the person that's lost it is probably crying. Weeping means crying. They're probably crying because they've lost it and they can't find it.
probably sad.
Yeah, definitely. And so the Wyatt's saying, I found it, it's mine.
Finders
Not
keepers.
true.
Wait,
Not true.
what if Wyatt in our class, what if he made this book?
I don't know if he made this book. He's just a character. Okay, turn the next page. We're gonna see what they're gonna do. They're gonna have a difficult decision. Okay, we're on page 336. LEA, you're coming in. We're on 336 at the top. Okay. Let's have Raylan with your big teacher voice. Raylan, hold on your mask, bud.
You can do whatever you want, Wyatt, but you know it's wrong to keep it, Paul said. Then he added, whenever there are issues like this at school, you're not one who helps. Solve the problems. Now you aren't taking your own advice.
Okay. So, Paul's saying it's wrong to keep it. And Wyatt must not be a very good kid. Well, he must not make very good decisions. You don't wonder so, guys. Because when there are issues at school, he does usually help solve the problems, but now he's not doing that. So, we need, so if you just came in, we're on page number 336. We're on then call added. John, would you read?
Then Paul
Oh, John, you need to pull down your mask this time, okay?
Then
Really
Paul
loud.
added a volunteer
Volunteer,
to my
thought,
if you didn't want to pick the help I offered, those needs I can't do.
okay, so if you didn't hear Paul, not Paul, John, he said, then Paul added, I volunteer my thoughts. If you don't want to take the help I offered, there's nothing I can do. So Paul's trying to be a good friend and offer some good help, but Wyatt is not taking his help. Okay, we're on this page 336. We're on the paragraph, the third one that says Paul. LEA, would you start with Paul really loud? LEA, hold on your mask.
Paul was right. I couldn't leave the game because it wasn't mine. The person who lost it would be upset. I cleared my thoughts.
Throat.
And said in my best deep voice,
I'm determined. That's one of our vocabulary words. Determined.
that you're right.
Okay, stop there. So he's determined that you're right. Okay, so who is right? Everybody? Paul is right. And finally, Wyatt realized he cleared his throat, like going like this. When you clear your throat, you kind of get, like, have you ever had a frog in your throat?
Yes.
Yeah,
What?
A frog. Have you ever heard that?
No.
I
have.
It's not like you have a real frog in your throat. It's just saying that you're talking kind of funny because there's something kind of stuck in your throat, so you have to clear it. So sometimes you say you have a frog in your throat. But he's determined that he's right and he's going to do the right thing. Mason, would you read this last one? Okay, listen. Mason, hold on your mask really loud and talk really loud, okay? Delighted.
You
Decided.
decided to
Okay, so he's delighted. He's happy that he's going to do the right thing. So Paul's very happy that his friend Wyatt's going to do the right thing. Okay, on the next page, 337 at the top where it says we. LES, would you read in a big teacher voice? Put on your mask. LES, have you read yet?
No.
Okay.
We told
Ellie, put on your mask and talk really loud, like almost yell it.
We told my mother what happened. She walked around the park
Louis, no thank you.
with us so we could try to find the owner of the game. Soon we saw a boy and his mom looking for something. He looked hopeless and he burst into tears when we asked him if the game was his. Yes, he wailed. I lost my game master a little while ago. I should have been more careful.
Okay, so what was the good decision the boys made? Kinsley, what was the good decision?
To find their owner.
To find the owner. And so they decided to do what in order to find the owner? What did they do, Tyson?
They were looking for him.
Yep, they walked around the park and they were kind of looking to see if anyone was looking to if they were missing something. You know, if somebody's missing something, they're kind of looking around. They're trying to find it. They're looking high and low and all around. And so they found this boy and his mom, and he looked hopeless. Like, give me a face like you're hopeless. Hopeless means like sad. Oh, so he's sad. So they saw his face, and they asked him if this game master was his, and he said yes, and then he started crying because he was so happy. He was sad but happy that they found his game master. All right, last paragraphs. We have the word afterward. Let's see who I have read. Tyson, would you read in a big teacher voice? Afterward.
I should go afterwards, Mom, and I was
Glad.
glad I returned that tweet to the boy.
So
I made a promise to myself to always try to do the right thing.
now,
Now that is a
bow.
and
Okay, stop there for a moment. So, Wyatt made a promise. What was his promise? So we talked earlier, that's one of our vocabulary words. A promise is something that you say you will do and that you will do it. What was his promise, Addie?
that he would always try to do the right
You
thing.
will always try to do the right thing. Now, he said that's a vow that I can keep. Do you guys know what a vow is?
A promise?
Kind of like a promise. When people get married, for example, like if, when two people get married
Thank you.
and they have a wedding, a lot of times they will make a vow. So they will vow to each other, which means they will promise that they will always be with them through good and bad, and they will always be together and do their best together. So that's a vow. So vow is like a promise that you say and that you mean and that you will follow through on. Okay? All right. So, do you guys think?
These two boys have the same shoes.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's kind of weird. They're matching. Do you think Paul and Wyatt are good citizens? What do you guys think?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, but no.
Okay. I would say yes. Maybe not at first, but then
No,
they did
they
become good citizens. What, Rayla? Why do you think they're good citizens?
Well, at first, Wyatt wasn't. Then he made the right choice
Right.
with help from Paul.
Right. And sometimes you do need help. And that's why this title of the story is called A Difficult Decision. Because Wyatt had a tough decision. Did he keep the Game Boy Master that he found?
No.
Or or does he try to return it to the person that lost it? And guess what, guys? Sometimes we make bad decisions. That's a part of life. I've made bad decisions. But hopefully somebody is there to help you make that decision too, if it's a tough one. And Paul was there. Paul was a good friend to help him. So if you ever have a friend that is outside on the playground making a bad decision, you help them make a good decision. Yeah, you be a good friend and help them. Because sometimes it's hard to decide. Sometimes decisions are difficult. Okay? Lewis.
One time, wanna use that on my phone?